All right, we're going to start here before we get into lesson 5 with just a quick warm up from lesson 4, right, where we looked at multiplying integers. All right, so starting with this one, number 4, I want you to see if you can write the expression for this situation. It says Tamara owns 100 shares of a certain stock. Suppose the price of that stock drops by $3 per share. Write a multiplication expression to find the change in her investment. So, take a minute and see if you can come up with an expression using multiplication to describe this, and then what will happen to her investment after this drop in $3 per share. So pause the video here and see if you can answer that question. All right, so let's see how you did here. So we start with 100 shares of stock, right? So I have 100 shares and the stock drops by $3 per share, right? So I want to represent a drop of $3, right? That would be a negative 3. So my expression would be 100 times negative 3, right? And we should get negative $300, right? And what would that mean in terms of her investment? That would mean that she loses $300 because her stock dropped by $3 per share. All right, let's turn your books to page 243. And we're going to start here with our learning target of being able to divide integers. And the rules, again, are on your integer rules on that sheet, and they're very similar to multiplication, and that's because division and multiplication are inverses of one another. Meaning, I could take a multiplication sentence and turn it into division sentences with the same numbers that are used, and that's why the integer rules for division is going to be the same, where if the signs are the same, right, both positive or both negative, our result is going to be a positive. And if we have division with one positive and one negative, our result is going to be negative. So let's look here. It says, here's my multiplication sentence, right? Meaning 2 times 6 equals 12, right? And that means 2 and 6 are factors of 12, right? Because they multiply together to get 12. That also means they divide in evenly to 12. And so if you look here, I can take 12, divide it by 6, and I get 2. 12 divided by 2 equals 6. So let's write the division sentences using this statement. So I multiply these two and get a product of negative 8. So that means I could take that product and divide it by each of these. So let's start, we'll go negative 8 divided by negative 4. And the result should be the other factor of that, right, which is 2. And I can take negative 8 divided by 2, and I should get negative 4. So notice, the signs are the same, and the result was a positive. When the signs were different, we had a negative. So here I can take my product of negative 15, and I'm going to divide it by 5, and I'm also going to divide it by negative 3. So if I look here, negative 15 divided by 5, that should equal negative 3, right? And notice when I'm dividing a negative by a positive, right, they have different signs, and it results in a negative. Here I have negative 15 and negative 3. That means that should equal positive 5, right? And again, we had same signs, right, negative and negative, and my result was a positive, right? So the integer rules for division are very similar to what they were, not very similar, they are the same as what they were for multiplication. And you can see why, because I can take a multiplication sentence and turn it into a division sentence. All right, so scroll down, you got a book in front of you, hopefully. Flip to page 244, and down at the bottom, we have these got it problems, right? A, B, and C. And I want you to take a minute to do each of these, right? But notice the different notations, right? We have our divide symbol. We also have, like, it looks like a fraction there. This little line here is telling me division. In a story problem, they might use the word quotient as well to imply division. So take a minute and do A, B, and C by hand, right? We're not using calculators here. So pause the video and then check your work. All right, so checking your answers here, we have different signs, right? One positive and one negative in the division. So each of my answers should result in a negative, right? 20 divided by -4 is -5, right? And to check your work, I could say, okay, -5 times -4, does that equal 20? Yep. Here, -81 divided by 9 should be -9, and that's because -9 times 9 is -81. And then last one here, -45 divided by 9, we should have got -5. All right, look over on page 245. We'll look at a couple examples where the signs are the same, right? And obviously, you've done division before with positive and positive, and the result was a positive. Well, it's the same if both signs are negative, right? Meaning, in example D here, -24 divided by -4 should be a +6. -9 divided by -3 is 3. And -28 divided by -7 should be a +4, right? And that's because I can take a division problem and write it as multiplication, meaning, right, what I divided by, my answer should multiply to equal what you divided, right? Because they are, if it divides unevenly, the product of those numbers should equal that. So you can always check your work on those, right? Remember our evaluate problem. So I'm going to take A and divide it by B. So I plug in a -33 for A and a -3 for B, right? So I should get, right, same signs there. So I should get a positive answer, and 33 divided by 3 is 11. All right, a little bit of guided practice here on page 246. So just take a minute, and I want you to do 1 through 5, okay? Do problem 1 through 5. And you can pause here and check your answers, right? Pay attention to, are they the same signs or are they different signs, in order to determine if your answer should be positive or negative. All right, you can check your work here, right? Number 1, they were different signs, so we got -8. Number 2, they were different signs, we got -6. Number 3, same signs, we got +6. Number 4, we had different signs, so that should be -3. And then I paused on number 5 because I want to talk through it real quick. Order of operations, right? If I plug in 8 and -5 here, order of operations has me do the multiplication because it comes first, right? So we have 8 times -5. So thinking back to yesterday's lesson, right? Different signs here, and up with a -40. Going to divide that by -10, right? So we have same signs here. So -40 and -10, that would be a +4. Now, I wanted to also talk through number 6. And this is going back to our addition and subtraction rules. So I want to just refresh on those as well. So if I plug in to the parentheses 8 plus, whoa, it done so well for a while there. All right, so 8 plus negative 5 divided by negative 3. Right, my order of operations tell me that I need to do parentheses first. So I'm going to do the 8 plus negative 5, right? And remember, when I have addition, my addition rules tell me opposite subtract, right? Opposite subtract. Or we can go way back and we could talk about going on the number line. And right, going out here for your 0, going over to positive 8, right? And then I'm adding to that a negative 5, right? So we have our interactive number line you can use. But I'm going to go opposites subtract. So I'm going to do 8 minus 5, which is 3. And since 8 is bigger, it's going to be a positive 3, right? So 8 plus negative 5 is 3. And I'm going to divide that by negative 3. So I have different signs, so my answer should be negative, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. So my answer should be negative 1 for that. All right, take a minute and turn to page 247. All right, your assignment is going to be 1 through 11. Okay, your assignment's going to be 1 through 11, but I want to talk through number 12 first. Okay, I want to talk through number 12 just so we're all on the same page. If we look at this, it says 8 minus r divided by negative 2, right? That's what it would read. However, in looking at that, if I were to read that to somebody and they were to do the order of operations, they would say, okay, well, I have to do division before I do subtraction. But notice that the division is of the whole 8 minus r, right? So really, that should be in parentheses. So I want to find out what this top value is and then divide by negative 2. Okay, versus when I look at this form over here, it's r times s divided by 16. I can go in order of operations. But here, right, just like number 12, this whole top is divided by 3. So I have to figure out what the top value is first and then do the division, right? So if I were to write this out, right, it would be 8 minus r. So if I come over here, that is 12. And I'm going to divide that by negative 2, right? It's the whole thing divided by negative 2. So I want to go to my integer rules, right? And I'm going to rewrite that as 8, right? I'm going to leave that 8. I'm going to change it to addition, right? So change to addition, and then that would be a negative 12, right? So leave, change, opposite. So now I have an 8 plus a negative 12. So positive plus a negative. So opposite signs, I'm going to subtract. So I do 12 minus 8, which is 4. The 12 is bigger, so I know my answer is going to result as negative 4. Divided by negative 2. So negative divided by negative, right? So when division, I go to my division integer rules, and I see the signs are the same, so it's going to be a positive. It should be a positive 2 for that. All right, so your assignment for today is to practice doing these problems 1 through 11. Okay, 1 through 11. And then after you're finished working on those, you can click into the link that gives the answer key and check your work. All right, you can shoot me an email or join the Google Meet for myself or Miss Phillips if you have any questions. Have a great day.